What is happening? The quarterfinals of the Blast Austin Major began today, and already it's anarchy. MOUZ gave Spirit one of the most frustrating upset wins of the entire year, and then Furia looked like the chosen ones up until the last goddamn half of Inferno. Why? Predictions are meaningless. Pick'ems don't matter. Never become an analyst. It's a curse. I won't be sleeping tonight to get you guys this video, so please do me a solid and leave a like, leave a comment down below, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you guys have been enjoying these recaps, that's the best way to do it. Help me hit 10K subs by the end of the year. And lastly, before we get started, I would like to thank today's sponsor. This video is sponsored by SkinsMonkey, a CS2 trading website. You put in the skins that you want to trade, you select what you want, you use my code LionHeartZ for up to $5 off, or click the top link in the description, and boom, new drip. Nice. You can also use my code for a 35% deposit bonus if you want to buy with real money. And they have a free section with cool giveaways. So check the top link in the description, use my code to buy 15 Dragon Lores to let them know I sent you their way, and thank you to SkinsMonkey for sponsoring this video. Anyways, getting right into it, you guys saw my predictions video yesterday with Dust, right? If you haven't watched it, don't watch it because already half of it's wrong. Anyway, if you did watch that, you know that going into this, I had Spirit beating MOUZ. I expected a close series, and what we got was a first map on Mirage that was utterly painful to watch. 4 overtimes. Somehow Spirit came out on the other side with the win, despite losing in almost every way possible, except for winning clutches that should have been impossible. And then on the back half of it, we saw some of the just objectively worst T-sides the Spirit core has ever played, as MOUZ simply owned them in the back half of both these series, despite, at first, at least on Nuke, looking like Spirit would walk away with the victory. So let's go one step at a time. What the fuck happened on Mirage? On one hand, you had Spirit starting off with so dominantly that I was for sure convinced that MOUZ might roll over. Those first 5 rounds were just all donk and all business, and MOUZ looked like they couldn't really find a T-side answer, especially through those first handful of gun rounds. But much credit to MOUZ, they really found a way to exploit the gaps in Spirit's armor. A lot of great timely lurks from Spinks to catch donk out of position on A site, good timely splits through into the B site. They managed to take that 5-0 lead and flip it into a 7-5 half. And the big thing I want to focus on in that half transition is that the big thing that really started to go well for MOUZ here is Torji coming online. His CT side presence with the AWP was just unignorable. He had huge, impactful multi-kills, not only throughout the rest of regulation, but going into overtime as well. And one of the big things I harped on a lot in my preview and prep for this matchup is that I do consider Shiro to be definitively better than Torji, but in this matchup and in this series, Torji definitely played better. Shiro and Zontix both had a very quiet start to this game, and while Zontix came around with some mammoth important clutches later in the game, Shiro maintained his quiet presence not throughout just this, but also the latter 2 maps as well, and that just can't happen. The worst case scenario against a team like MOUZ, who is so deep and so spread evenly, is to end up in a donk v9, and a lot of what this Spirit series boiled down to is donk v9, and exacerbated some very bad issues on their T side, where donk, for as great as he is, can oftentimes push the advantage far too much and give up his life without much advantage gained back for his teammates. And when you already have Zontix, Magix, Shiro playing slow, that's going to make those rounds nearly unwinnable. It's the worst case scenario. And so I really thought MOUZ were going to turn this around and win this game in regulation. They won 7 of 8 rounds to open up the CT side half. And really the only reason this ends up going to overtime and going to continual overtimes is off the back of pure miracle clutches from Spirit. The only thing Spirit could do in this game was win CT side rounds and win clutches. Their T sides were utterly ineffectual. And honestly, I think the person to single out here who really helped backpack Spirit over the line was not Shiro, was not donk, it was Zontix. He had many impactful, round-winning, game-changing moments where he was just like on the lurk on the T side. He would get a double or a triple kill utterly out of nowhere. And probably the one to single out the most is the round that got them into overtime. Brolin and Spinks combined to cut down the mid to A split at its knees, taking out the mid presence entirely, leaving Zontix and Shiro to navigate a 2v4. The smoke wall is up towards jungle. Zontix creeps up past triple box, creeps through the smoke on an insane timing, managed to get a miracle double kill that I still don't understand how the player on stairs did not kill him, but somehow he gets both kills, gives Shiro the space to plant the bomb. He plays his timings perfectly, anchored down inside of the connector. It comes down to Jimmy in a 1v2, where he manages to navigate really well, taking care of Shiro, getting around to the bomb, trying to bait Zontix into peeking, tapping the bomb, trying to get him to peek on the defuse, but Zontix calls the bluff every single time and managed to waste just enough of the timer that Spirit managed to clutch the round despite Jimmy getting all the kills. In the first place, this game shouldn't have gone to overtime. Jimmy had the clutch won, but Zontix clawed the round back from the absolute ether. And again, I can't stress this enough, MOUZ were winning every round they should be winning, but they couldn't close the fucking game out. They get to match point in the first overtime up 15-13, and oops, Spirit on the CT side manufactures 2 great rounds back to back. And oh, what do you know, another 1v2 clutch courtesy of Zontix because he has devil magic inside him. Because how the fuck does he manage to get this round? Him and Magix are coming through CT. It's a 2v3. Magix goes down as the bomb gets planted. Spinks swings from Palace, dies to Zontix. Zontix has to throw an emergency smoke in between the triple box and the wall, try and jump up ticket booth. He wastes a ton of time because he's not sure if he can peek over the top without Torzi shooting him. Will he jump down? Will he jump down back into CT and then try and cross? As he does jump down into the site, he dinks Torzi on the way down on a random M4 shot, picks up the MP9 because he's out of bullets, and then takes care of Jimmy with the MP9 swing around triple box, finds a drop smoke in the middle of goddamn nowhere, throws that down, and ninja diffuses right in Torzi's face. Absolute, utter heroics to keep Spirit in this game and force it into double OT, only for Spirit to still be losing these rounds consistently. At the end of the second overtime, Spirit finds themselves in match point for once, and they can't convert. MOUZ managed to win that round and force it into a third overtime, and in the third overtime, shit just goes straight to crazy town and does not recover for the rest of this game. Because oh my god, if you were a MOUZ fan, I think you lost 35 years on your life in this single overtime. Because on one hand, Spinks gives you one of the highlights of the major, where this late A hit from MOUZ gets so roundly taken out that Spinks should just be dying. But Donk, for all his credit for everything good he does, and as amazing of a player as he is, sometimes Donk doesn't know how to stop. Donk gets this kill from stairs, he drops down and over-aggresses trying to hunt down the player still at Tetris, walks right into Spinks' arms. Donk drops a nade when he dies. Spinks from this position in Tetris navigates a beautiful 1v3 clutch, including using that dropped nade from Donk to get the final kill. If Donk just played back, you had Spinks in an unwinnable scenario. All you had to do was freeze and make him come to you, and it was over. A pivotal round win, and Donk unfortunately cost them at the worst possible time. You think this is a huge swing of momentum. MOUZ just got a shot in the arm from Spinks backpacking them through a round they had definitely lost. And then more Spirit devil magic as Magix fires back with a 1v2 clutch. Which, considering how poorly he'd played to the game at this point, I just didn't expect him to win these duels. Torzi and Spinks had done so much damage clawing back this round for MOUZ, both of them at 2 kills apiece. And he gets the first kill onto Torzi while he's planting the bomb. That's fair enough. And then Spinks just takes the swing in a 1v1 and misses. Magix just gets the round handed to him because they wanted to give him the fights. It's just somehow they just keep going. And the one that convinced me to tweet that MOUZ might be cursed is just a few rounds later in round 45, where Magix authors another unholy 1v3 clutch. And it's just so many clutches that MOUZ should be converting, that they should be winning. The game should be so fucking over, and they just get burned time and time again. I don't know how you survive the mental resilience here, because you're in a 1v3, you get the bomb down on A, all you have to do is just not give Magix a gunfight here, yet somehow he finds the first brick on just, the smoke's clearing. That's fine, bro is gonna go down here, but then Jimmy and Torzi are left in low health. They just have to try and split a crossfire. Magix even throws a Molotov that should have killed Jimmy, but knocks him down to 1 HP, but Magix is still able to navigate over the top of stairs, into the site, find Jimmy turning the corner at the right time, and kill him, and then Torzi, left alone with the op-out, CT has the angle, misses the shot, flails around, tries to fall back, and Magix is able to re-aggress and somehow barely get the kill. Like, they should have won this. They choked. And Spirit finally end this game that has gone too long and taken too much out of me, and managed to finish it off in the 4th overtime, taking that 1-0 series lead. And usually, when a team wins so triumphantly in an overtime like this in such a grueling first map, the team that loses oftentimes doesn't recover. But no, MOUZ bounced back in a huge way, and utterly stomped Spirit on their best map on Dust 2, and that's where the cracks formed in Spirit's armor. Because we're going to kind of zoom out here and talk about Dust 2 and Nuke virtually in the same stroke, right? Because I have a lot less to say about individual moments, more than I do a lot to say about how both these teams played in terms of play styles. Because while Spirit remained good to great on both of their CT sides on Dust 2 and Nuke, the thing that went definitively wrong, even worse than it did on Mirage, was their T sides. Both of these T sides from Spirit were objectively awful. You have the best rifler in the world, arguably the best player in the world, and by far one of the best aggressive players to ever touch Counter-Strike, and you guys got a combined 6 T-side rounds over 2 games. 4 on Dust 2, 2 on Nuke. That is utterly unfucking acceptable. And it comes down to a couple of factors. One, first and foremost, is that Shiro had a quiet game on Dust 2's T-side, going 8-7, then a disastrous one on Nuke, going 4-11. He was missing in terms of his pivotal impact. No clutch factor, no ability to bring back these rounds from the brink after Donk gets an opening and dies. The things that I laud Shiro for over and over, things that he did in the group stage, he could not perform in this match, and it showed in a big way and really hurt Spirit. And then behind him, the supporting cast was also not there for Donk. Spotty impact from Chopper, Magix, and Zontix, and utterly piss-poor time, map, calling management from Chopper himself. I was so uninspired, unimpressed by the T-side approach on both of these maps that if Spirit does not make big sweeping changes in this offseason, they are failing their generational talent in Donk. And then to Donk himself, it has to be said, because you go look at the stats, Donk was incredible on both these games. That cannot be argued. His stats are always going to be good because Donk is too good of a player to just turn up and put up a bagel. He will always get his and look great statistically, but when you watch him, there are plenty of rounds where he is clearly over-aggressing to a fault, and I think it's a byproduct of the supporting cast being so weak. There's a certain point where I think if you're Donk, you've hammered your head against the wall so many times to give openings for your teams, you're not always going to hit, especially against really talented players like Xerxin and JimFat. That's where the calling has to come in, switching up the approach, trying to manufacture openings for Donk, and Spirit just simply don't do that. Not always are they in Donk Go Kill mode. They were absolutely in Donk Go Kill mode in this series to a fault. There were just far too many moments in both these maps where the rounds really came down to whether Donk could manufacture a miracle. If they couldn't do that, they were going to lose. Look no further than that T-side on Nuke, where Donk just really struggled to get any kill. He was getting abused outside because he felt like he had to press the issue over and over to manufacture these openings, and when he wasn't hitting, there was not a snowball's chance in hell anyone behind him could manufacture one back. And it's even worse on Nuke because they bounced back so hard with that opening CT half. 8-4. Really strong play. They were holding the bomb sites real well. Even Magix, Chomper, and Zontix were really starting to hit their shots. We flipped the script. They get onto that T side, utterly fucking missing. Just a really unfortunate end to Spirit's run. And honestly, full credit to MOUZ for in back-to-back series now, both against Legacy and now against Spirit, being firmly behind in these games and manufacturing insane comebacks. I don't think you can ever again levy the choking allegations at MOUZ unless something really bad happens, because they're showing backbone. They're showing backbone that I didn't know they had. And the one person I want to give a shout out above all else is Spinks, because Spinks is very clearly a big game player. He seems to rise up to the moment where sometimes Xerxin, Brolin, Jimmy may struggle. Him and Torji seem to be a rock in these big playoff games and will consistently find huge moments of impact. Spinks had many huge clutches both on Dust 2, Nuke, Mirage, where he went out of his way to get these 4Ks and make huge differences. Torji was insane in the Afiat matchup. He went toe-to-toe with Shiro and was better than him for most of the series. And then Jimmy really came alive in a way that we haven't seen him in quite a while. Xerxin and Brolin could be inconsistent, and they could make it happen. Brolin could get 0 kills through the first fucking half, and they still won this game. That's insane. Odds are they have to play Vitality in the semifinals, though the way the current fucking playoffs are going, who knows? Na'Vi are going to do the impossible and beat Vitality, and all of a sudden MOUZ can win this major out of nowhere. I mean, anything's possible at this point. But assuming they're going to play Vitality, can this MOUZ beat them? I don't know. I can't sit here and make that call given what we've seen from MOUZ, because they left a lot of openings that Spirit were simply unable to exploit in a way that you just know Vitality will. You can't give those opportunities to a team like Vitality. You can to a team like Spirit, apparently. But God, for damn sure, MOUZ have looked so sturdy in a way that I didn't expect after they started off this major so poor. So hats off to them. And then we have Furia versus Pain. And, okay. So here's kind of the hard part, right? I am very torn with the outcome of this series because I genuinely like both teams. I genuinely like both of their storylines. So it just naturally follows that one of these teams winning was going to be a unfortunate set of circumstances. Because ideally, I would like both these teams to continue playing at the major. They're both exciting. At the end of the day, only one could, and it was Pain. And honestly, Furia are going to walk away, I think, feeling a little bit sour about the outcome. But honestly, I don't think they should. Yes, they kind of crumbled at the final moment, but overall, this was such a triumphant coming out party for this new project that I think Furia should do nothing but hold their head high and continue to progress and embed this new talent with Yakindar and Molodoi especially. Because when we get into it, Pain win the series in 3 games. But starting off first on Nuke, Furia jumped out to an immediate, triumphant victory 13-6, with Molodoi leading the way. Another interesting thing to note right here, at least at the time as Nuke was finishing, Molodoi finishes his game going 19-11 with a 1.44 rating. I was hanging out in call watching the game with my buddy Tony, aka Why Not, and Tony is great at finding niche statistics. And I made an offhand comment that Molodoi has to be having one of the best major debuts in a long time. So Tony started digging through the stats. He took a look at every major debut for a rookie that he could find, going back throughout CSGO history as well. And to the best of his knowledge, and obviously this could be fact-checked and better researched after the fact, so take this with a pinch of salt, but up to this point, with how Molodoi was playing to this series, Molodoi was having the best debut major that we have ever seen from a rookie. By far. Which I certainly think tracks with what we saw play out on the server. He was just taking space with full confidence. As soon as he heard that first crowd roar behind him after his first play, it seemed to embolden him. There were no nerves. He could play freely, and he dominated Pain on the CT side because of it. He was so good at opening up and closing these rounds that with great impact from Fallen, Yakindar, Caserado, everyone else, it felt like Furia had an overwhelming amount of force that Pain could not keep up with. Now, there were moments like DGT had a great clutch early on where Molodoi seemed to bust open the A retake in a big way, but DGT from Squeaky would get the triple kill to hold off the plant in a 1v3. That's amazing. But outside those spotted moments, Pain were firmly in the backseat for the entirety of this game. It was a blitz from Furia. And I was worried that this would end up being a one-sided affair because of that. Because Furia, they had the crowd on their side, they had all this momentum, Molodoi looked so fearless. We're going into a second map of Anubis that both teams play quite a lot, and that's going to be the kind of map that Molodoi can continue to execute at a very, very high level. Unfortunately, Molodoi would go on to have his worst map since joining Furia, going out for a disastrous 4-16 with a horrific 0.37 rating. And going back to what I said previously about Tony finding those stats, yeah, so Molodoi went from having, overall the best major debut to the 8th best. He dropped out of contention, out of the top 5, off of the back of this one map. He played so bad compared to every other map he's played at the fucking major. That is unreal to quantify. And it's also at the same time, can you really blame him? He's 18 years old. He's never played a tier 1 tournament in his life. He's playing in the major, and he's trying to get his team to the semifinals. He was at some point going to return to Earth, and unfortunately he did it at the worst time when Furia really needed his firepower contributions, because besides him being this extreme outlier, Furia kept toe-to-toe with Pain's output in terms of overall fragging. In fact, with Anubis being as T-sided as it is, if Molodoi could have turned it around in the second half, all of a sudden the game gets much more interesting, and maybe Furia could have actually completed the comeback instead of falling just short. It just sucks that, yeah, if you have to be very critical, Molodoi is the reason they lost this game, because you can't have your Opper be that far behind the pack. It's just, he's been so good everywhere else, it hurts to be this critical of him, but it is what it is. Special shout out to Davideus, by the way, who early on in the first half had 2 1vx clutches to really help Pain solidify their early momentum. Had Furia been able to get a couple rounds in here or there instead of just getting battered like they did, then that comeback would have been even easier. And those kind of clutch players are what Davideus seems to be really, really good at, and Pain really benefited from them. And that leaves us with Inferno, which is definitely the map that's gonna hurt the most if you're a Furia fan, so I apologize. I need you guys to bear with me, okay? I'm gonna be your therapist for the next couple minutes. It's gonna be okay. We're gonna get through this together, alright? Because Furia jumped out to an immediate 6-0 lead off the back of Yakindar absolutely fucking smurfing on the CT side B defense. Yakindar would blitz out to a 13-kill first half, and with good contributions from everybody else, including Molodoy seeming to steady the ship a little bit, that meant that Furia were in firm control. And honestly, considering how difficult it can be to defend on the CT side, getting this kind of lead going, holding Pain to just 5 T-side rounds, and only really letting them get on the board late in the half when they manage to break your economy, is a great start. You get into the second half, you win the pistol round, boom, there's your window. All you do is convert the second round, and you can really start making a run at closing this game. And then you hit a brick wall that's very NQZ shaped, because NQZ fucking farmed this last map. He ends the game with 29 kills, but he got the bulk of that work done on the CT side, having a 19 kill CT side all told with the overtime factored in. He also got 10 kills on the T side just to really hammer it home, but his op holding, especially around the A side and also around the mid area on the T side, was just incredible. He did put Molodoy in a box more or less, but Molodoy managed to get his own impact. He wasn't as bad as Anubis, but NQZ was just way more impactful overall, and Pain needed it. He gave them that injection of firepower that they desperately need, and he really led from the front, which allowed a lot of freedom for Davideus, DGT, Snow, everyone else to work around the margins. And what compounded these issues and ultimately buried Furia out of this match and out of the tournament was their T-side hit just a unbelievable dry spot at the worst time. Keep in mind, Yakindar finishes the game with 18 kills. He got 15, did I say 13 earlier? I think it's 15 on the CT side. Let me double check. Let's double check that live. Yeah, sorry. He had 15 in the first half. He got 3 more kills for the rest of the game, including overtime. That is, might be hard for you guys to quantify this one. Not acceptable. And then the other part, and this one hurts, man. Serato was objectively terrible in this game. His T-side performance was not good whatsoever. They were missing his impact and the ability to close rounds desperately. He ends the game going 11-21. On the T side, it's even worse. He only got 4 T side kills. His lack of impact was so felt that the 2 kills he did get on the T side towards the end of regulation before overtime, one of them being a nade kill and one of them being a pretty impactful rotate kill in a 3v3 situation. I made the point of tweeting those out kind of jokingly, like, dude, look at Serato. The numbers aren't there, but look at the impact he's getting, because otherwise he wasn't doing anything. And Serato, you were supposed to be the backbone of this team. You are the #1 guy. Yakindar, Molodoy, everyone else step aside. You are him. You're supposed to be Brazil's #1 player. And in these games, they need you to play like the person you're touted to beat, the next Coldzera, the next one up, the chosen one. And in this game, against your fellow countrymen, you did not perform where you needed to. And unfortunately, with Yakindar also hitting the wall at the same time, I think you saw the ripple effect of how this affected the calling. There were a lot of sloppy force buys, a lot of mismanaged econ, because I think Fallen was just trying desperately to claw for any kind of advantage after you lost round after round after round after round. Had you guys been able to just right the ship one time, convert a clutch one time, this game could have been so entirely different. And just like Spirit did on Nuke against MOUZ, you guys at the very last hurdle, after a dominant first half, blew both Achilles, tore your ACLs, blew all 4 tires, and collapsed right at the finish line, which is just a painful way for it to end. For Pain, it's yet another incredibly resilient win, much like MOUZ did against Spirit earlier, where you guys were not the favorites coming into the series. No one was rooting for you to win it. You were down and out in the first half of the final map, and yet you guys came together better than the sum of your parts and fragged the fuck out to win it, which just is so awesome, because again, I love this Pain team. I'm happy to see them go through. I want to see Furia do more, but at the end of the day, you guys play better Counter-Strike when it counted most. So congratulations on making the semifinals. And I hope you guys continue to do good work throughout the rest of this tournament, even though you must lose to FaZe. If FaZe beat the Mongols, you must lose to FaZe. You must lose to FaZe. You must get simple in the finals, Pain. This is your job. You must do it. Anyways, it is 11 p.m. I'm recording this on stream at twitch.tv/LionHeartZ2. We did the recap there on stream tonight, so if you guys want to come over and hang out, we'll probably do the same thing tomorrow. I am mildly toasted, so we're doing great there. Hopefully I get to go to bed soon. If you guys enjoy the same night recaps throughout the playoffs, make sure you leave a like, leave a comment down below, subscribe to the channel. Help me hit 10K by the end of the year. I really appreciate it. This video is sponsored by Skins Monkey. Check the top link in the description. You go over to trade your skins on their website. If you do so with my promo code, you get an extra $5 on top of $100 in trade value, or a 35% deposit bonus if you decide to fill up. Thank you to Skins Monkey for sponsoring this video. Shout out to my channel members: Justin, Jesse Furley, Milan Berta, Bubblesj, Dr. Cocktor, Patatas Kaftesi, PTR, B1 Games, Cody Foxworthy, Justin Vander, Vegt, Out Flashbangs, Tommy White, Rowdy, Vergil'sPlasticChair, Sid Pro 12, and our newest channel member, LBK. Shout out to Australia. If you guys want to become a channel member, you can do so. Link in the description down below for $5 a month. You can name of the video just like this. Well, it's a customer on the community Discord. Shout out to the Discord as well. We've been watch partying in there during the day, even if it gets chaotic as hell. Join the Discord. Follow me on Twitch. Fuck you. Bye.